Good morning, good morning, good morning. How is everybody? I hope everyone's good. I'm Jake Sherman. As the voice of God just said, I'm the founder of Punchbowl News. Thanks so much for joining us this morning for our pop-up conversation with Senator John Hickenlooper, Democrat of Colorado. A big thank you to Booking.com for partnering with us to make this happen. Senator Hickenlooper and I will be talking about news of the day, but more importantly, how AI is going to impact infrastructure, tourism, and much more. Afterward, I'll be joined by Glenn Fogel, President and CEO of Booking.com, for a fireside chat. Big thank you to everybody here this morning and everybody on live stream land on that camera. And with that, I'd like to welcome Senator Hickenlooper to the stage. Thank you, Senator. I was saying backstage, the last time I did an event with you was an evening event many moons ago in Denver, and we had beer on stage. So I don't think we're going to have beer on stage.
I heard the voice of God, so if we really wanted beer, we could get it.
If you don't know, Senator Hickenlooper was a bar owner, a bar founder, and so that was very on brand when he was governor of Colorado. Let's start with some news of the day. A couple quick questions. Yesterday, the president's son, Hunter Biden, was convicted for lying on a gun application. Mixed views on whether this will impact 2024 and the president's election. Do you think that will impact the president's standing?
I don't think it'll have much effect. I think it is an American tragedy, and there's probably not a person in this room that doesn't know someone who's lost their way because of drugs and gotten into addiction and just crazy behavior. And, you know, it is a lesson, once again, that nobody's above the law. And I think that the court went through what they should have done. They got the facts. They found him guilty. And then he'll have punishment. And I can only imagine the heartbreak that's all in that family. It's not just the president and First Lady, but their entire family is hurt by this. And it's a shame that it gets dragged into politics like this, but it's a reality we live in.
Yeah, that's the nature of the game. Let me ask you this. We are sitting here 145 days ahead of Election Day. We were talking a little bit backstage about how you feel about the electoral climate. Democrats got some good news this week in the Senate, in which you serve. A good poll for Sherrod Brown in Ohio, a good debate by John Tester, in Montana. How do you feel sitting here today about Democrats' chances of keeping the Senate or ending up in a tie, which is what I'm rooting for, so I can cover another 2 years of mess?
Let me say first that I wake up in the middle of the night in a cold sweat. There's so much.
And just 50-50 is flashing above your head.
So much at stake. I think Sherrod Brown is just a remarkable person and a great politician, and he is well known in Ohio. I think the issues around choice are going to rise to the surface in Ohio. Tester, amazing politician. I mean, he's one of the last really active farmers in the United States Senate, and he is out there working for farmers and for rural
and farming himself.
Business. And farming himself and actually running the big equipment. You know, and every time you shake hands with him, you see he's missing a couple fingers.
Yes.
I mean, he lost those, as he says, he lost them in honest pursuit of his job. Anyway, I think we're doing well in almost all these states, and I think the divisions in the Republican Party probably benefit the MAGA Republicans, and the more extreme portions of the Republican Party are kind of trying to pull away and assert themselves in a way that doesn't always help the moderate candidates that they need in some of these swing states. But it's going to be close. And again, the Democrats just stayed 50-50 with Joe Manchin not running. It means we've got to be perfect, right? We've got to really defend every one of these vulnerable Democrats.
Let's talk a little bit about this. So last week, you voted on contraception. This week, IVF. These are mostly votes to put people on the record on issues of the day. Now, what else do you think the Senate might get done this year? I mean, we are in that danger zone between legislating and an election. What do you think? What do you think? And what do you think could happen in the lame duck? I mean, what are your priorities for the rest of the year?
Sure. Let me just say about IVF, because it is, and I'm not trying to make news here, and we didn't.
Well, please do.
Hide it up. I think that the tendency we're hearing from other states that IVF is somehow not okay, and that in some violates for some people religious strictures. My wife is 20-some years younger than I am and changed her mind, decided she wanted to have a child a couple of years ago. And so you're actually sitting beside the living proof that there's at least one miracle left in each of us. And my wife had medical issues, but they were able to harvest an egg. I was able to fertilize it in vitro. We had to find a surrogate to carry it to full term. But I have at home right now an 18-month-old baby.
Are you sleeping or?
No. Baby Jack sleeps 12 hours every night and has from within 6 weeks. I mean, it is a blessing from God.
I've got a 4-year-old that doesn't sleep that much. So God bless.
But my point is, we're at a time where people can have that most sacred opportunity to have a child who otherwise couldn't. And now we're beginning to hear voices on the Republican side of things saying, hey, this is a bad thing, or it needs to be really regulated or limited in some way. And that just seems, for a lot of people, another step along the way. So I do hope we'll have a vote on in vitro, just because people should be on the record for that. It should be an easy vote for everyone. In terms of your question about what's a lame duck look like, what things can happen, I am attracted to the things that are not necessarily partisan. I think that apprenticeships, we've got still 65% of the kids in this country aren't going to get a 4-year degree. We need to make sure they have the skills so that as we go into this new energy economy and this new world of technology with AI, we'll get to in a minute, we have to make sure that every American has the opportunity to create the life that they would want. And that means, we're such an also-ran in terms of how we provide skills for these kids and experiential on-the-job training when they're still in high school. Switzerland, Sweden, many countries in Asia, Australia, all over the world, they recognize that not everyone's going to go to college, and they provide training for that for those who choose not to or don't want to go to college. We should be doing the same. And I think it's bipartisan. There's strong support from Republicans and Democrats. It's not expensive. The business community is dying to have it. There are labor shortages everywhere. So that's one example. Things like that I think, some of the stuff around climate change, without having to point fingers or blame anyone, there's a lot we can do to measure and begin building the foundations of addressing climate, such as our Big Wires Act, but ways to build more transmission capacity. So right now we've got very expensive energy in one place, and we can't easily get that energy to where it's needed and would be able to provide a valuable return for the company that owns it. Those are the kinds of infrastructure needs that we got to be building and working on. And this is, they're not partisan. It's completely bipartisan support on both sides.
Let's talk about AI. We announced the other day that we're launching a tech vertical. And a large part of it is because I think that AI is one of the most important advancements since the creation of electricity. And I don't mean that I'm not overstating that. I really do believe that just such a powerful tool for not only travel, but infrastructure and jobs and so many different things. What are you most excited about when it comes to AI? What do you look down the road a couple of years, and what do you think some of the promises of AI are?
Well, the promises and the risks, right? That's always
That was my next question. But
well, I'll stick to go for the promises. It's hard to imagine how big this could be. If you want me to be particularly specific in something that I get really excited about, I think the ability to teach kids of all ages, not just kids in third grade how to read, or kids in fifth grade or sixth grade how to do long division or fractions, all these basic elements that you need to have a good life.
Or refresh adults on how to do those.
Yeah, right. Well, everything. It is going to help teachers teach. And I don't think it's going to eliminate teaching jobs. Human beings need that person-to-person contact. Lots and lots of studies have tried to use a screen or a autonomous voice to educate young people or kids of all ages, and it doesn't work, right? You've got to have human beings involved in this. So I think the AI is going to just make much better teachers of all of us and help. I'm dyslexic, so I'm a very, very slow reader. And when I was a kid, I'm old enough so that no one really knew what it was. They just thought I was lazy, which that was probably true as well. I'm not going to deny that. But now we have that there are different styles, call them styles of dyslexia, and they're the individual child's ability to read the pattern of letters and actually sound out words is affected in a bunch of different ways in different parts of the brain. AI is going to let us kind of break this down and become very surgical in terms of how each individual child learns to read. And it might take a few years, but boy, this will be, if suddenly we see as a nation, the last statistic I saw was, I think it was 24% of American kids are not reading at grade level at the end of third grade. And that should be a call to action for everybody. And I think AI is going to help us do that in a cost-effective way.
So let's talk about, so members of Congress have a lot on their plate and have to be quite knowledgeable about a lot of subjects. How would you rate how members of Congress are on AI? What is their fluency with AI?
I've only been here 3.5 years, but I've learned a few things. And I know that Congress is doing great. They're terrific. They're perfectly educated and all this stuff. You don't ever criticize your peers. It's just a bad habit. However, if I were going to put the words out of somebody else's mouth, I think that we are learning very rapidly as a Congress in the Senate and the House, and that it is changing so rapidly and is still so new that there's a lot of catch-up that's got to be done. I mean, that we still don't have any an AI bill. We don't even have a data privacy bill that's actually being voted on right now, and yet 18 states have data privacy bills that they put out. That's never a good sign when we're lagging so far behind. You don't want to have the federal government come in and preempt states, and yet by the time you have 18 states feeling this is important, you're going to get all different varieties, and it's going to be harder and harder for the federal government to reconcile what it does. So I think we're playing a little bit of catch up. I think Chuck Schumer and Mitch McConnell have both kind of leaned into this with a great sense of urgency. I haven't seen Senator Schumer this urgent, this aggressive on addressing AI, and I think it has a lot to do with the social media platforms. They ran away from regulation, and once that horse is out of the barn, it's obviously very hard to regulate corporations when they become so large and so powerful.
You come from a state that has a lot of tourism, a large airport that just got a flight from Turkey the other day, I saw, starting yesterday on Turkish Air. And also you oversee a subcommittee that has to do with tourism. Talk about AI and tourism and how AI will enhance and impact tourism.
Sure. And Colorado, whether you're talking about going to see a concert at Red Rocks or
on my bucket list,
or Telluride, or whether you're going to go to Grand Junction out on the West Slope, we do have tourists from all over the country. Roughly people coming in and out, 90 million people a year. Just an incredible number of people, and AI is going to transform it. I mean, AI is going to. I don't think it's going to replace travel agents. I mean, you'll be able to do simple trips, business trips, and AI will be able to book that for you and take care of it. But in most cases, your travel agent is going to use AI to really create the vacation you've always dreamed about and come up with ideas and things that other people aren't going to have. If everyone just goes to AI, everyone's going to end up with the same trip, and no one's going to be satisfied. Human beings are a lot more demanding than that. I think things like autonomous luggage. AI is going to help. It's not hard to imagine. It's, not right away, but in 5 years or 7 years, you're going to have your luggage will follow you around. It'll roll.
Be nice.
Well, there are all kinds of things where, checking into hotels, having security, your keys and things. All this stuff is going to transform. AI is going to be able to just make everything smoother and easier. And it's going to facilitate more people traveling and more people, when they have time off, wanting to see a different place. And I think that's a great thing. I think, that's a great way we learn about ourselves, is to go to other communities or other parts of the world and immerse ourselves. The downside, of course, is that moving people around in these gigantic aluminum tubes is not very efficient in terms of the energy and the emissions involved. So, and I think we got to address that. We've got to get our act together on climate pretty quick.
So, one of the things that I'm an aviation geek, I'm a travel nerd, but one of the things that you've seen a lot in the news are some of the logistical issues at airports when it comes to planes coming in and coming out. Happened at Denver, happened at DCA. AI is going to have there's going to be a huge impact there as well, I imagine.
Sure. Well, you look at what happened to Southwest Airlines last year. And so you have weather problems at certain airports coming up and surprising to a certain extent, even the forecasts. And they had an old system. They hadn't updated. It was costing too much money. Certainly AI is going to allow all kinds of companies to stay current with their technology. But if they'd had AI at Southwest, they could have routed those planes to different places immediately, in real time, and they could have dramatically, probably cut in half the number of people that were inconvenienced or frustrated by the experience of, getting stuck in an airport. And a lot of people spent nights in the airport. And
yeah, actually, it's kind of amazing to think about how we route airplanes around the country and how that will be enhanced and made more efficient by AI. Let's talk about privacy. You mentioned that. At the top. Privacy and AI is there's a lot of chatter right now in the larger AI conversation about privacy, about how platforms will treat data privacy. I'm wondering how you think about privacy when it comes to AI specifically, and what Congress needs to do on that.
Yeah, well, I think that privacy goes hand in hand with AI, and I am from the school. I want to do the privacy first, if we can, but it doesn't have to. You can do both. As I said already, that there are 18 states that have already got some privacy act that they passed or almost passed. The House has the American Privacy Rights Act that's out there, and a
little bit stuck at the moment. Yep,
a little bit stuck, exactly, but only a little bit. I think again that's a bipartisan bill that should be able to go forward. If we can't. I mean, the basic thing we have to have is standards, and that's true for AI. You guys should be transparent. You should know what information they're collecting. Now, you need data privacy because they should be limited in how much they can collect. They shouldn't just be out collecting everything they can about all of us. And we should all have the rights to change if they've collected data that's not right or there's bias. There should be enough transparency so people can be aware of that and have the right to correct what's not right.
You gave a big speech. I mean, you and Governor Polis, Jared Polis, former member of the House, more importantly than a governor, but you guys are both leaning in on AI and tech more broadly. You gave a speech in Boulder in which you said, we need qualified third parties to effectively audit generative AI systems and verify their claims of compliance with federal laws and regulation. What kind of third party do you foresee being able to oversee AI?
Well, I mean, it's got to be somebody. Right?
Okay.
No, I'm dead serious. It's great to let people say, oh, well, you're going to self-regulate yourself, right? It's like letting high school kids grade their own papers. Probably not a great idea.
Better in that situation, yeah.
But I think that the trick here, we're going to have auditors who are going to be trained in how to do exactly these audits. And we have the National Institute of Standards and Technology, NIST. And NIST is where the basic standards by which we, regulate our world, especially in terms of technology. There are people, thousands of people working full time to make sure those standards are coherent, that they're not duplicative, or they're not at odds with some other regulation. They're making sure it's a smooth system that can function efficiently, and we need that with AI, and we need that with data privacy in both cases. And what I was saying in Boulder, in the Silicon Flatirons speech, is that, just the way we have auditors now that come and do books. If you're a publicly traded company, you've got to be audited. I don't know of a single hedge fund that doesn't get audited. You want to be audited by people that know what they're doing, though. And that's the importance is now we've got to start training people to go into if a company wants to create software, they don't want to have a patchwork of 18 different states that they've got to, make sure they conform to the specific different regulations in each of the 18 states. They want to have a basic, template by which they know as they create this AI, this software, that they're not going to get in trouble. They're not going to be liable for some, malfeasance. And that's our job. That's what government should be doing, is creating that template so that they can do it the right way and then know that we're going to hold them accountable, that we're going to have some system of auditing what they come out with. I'm a big supporter of data minimization so that we actually restrain. I wouldn't say restrict. Restrain is a slightly softer tone for government to use. But we restrain a lot of these data companies from going out there and just collecting all this excessive information that they think they can go off and sell. And I understand the business model, but it's not. If you ask American people whether they want more and more information about their lives out on the open market being sold to the highest bidder, it's about 90% say that's a bad idea.
One last question. We are quickly running out of time. Look down the road 5 years from now. I'm going to ask you a two-pronged question. Where will, when I talk to people in the AI and the Gen AI world, they think in terms of where we're going to be in 10 months because it's moving so quickly. Give me something you think about 5 years down the road about where you think AI will be. And secondly, more importantly, or not more importantly, but interestingly, how will AI impact Congress? I have many thoughts on that, so we could grab a beer and talk about that.
Actually, I'd rather hear your answer than my answer on that one. I think, again, AI is moving so fast, so rapidly, and the stakes are so high. How often, who here could have imagined 2 years ago that there would be a chip manufacturer that, based on their chip that permits and enhances the acceleration of AI, would become the most valuable company on earth?
Right.
It's inconceivable. At least it would have appeared inconceivable 2 years ago. But that's how fast it's coming and how much value there is. So I think in 5 years we will see everything from the synchronization of stoplights, so that nobody waits in traffic as much. Some basic blocking and tackling, things like that are just going to. We're gonna wonder how we ever lived the way we did in the old days when you sat at a red light and there's no one coming for 60 seconds. You're sitting there going, yeah, whatever. All kinds of things like that are gonna change. And I think in terms of making laws, the AI could have a profound effect, because right now, and it's a funny thing, there have not been very many people that were mayors of their major city and then the governor and then go and become a senator. Basically, because once you've been a mayor and a governor, they're so much fun. You don't want to go.
Why the hell would you ever come here?
Yeah, you don't want to be one of 100 or one of 435. That being said, there's real value, though. Having been a mayor and been a governor, I've seen what poorly designed legislation, the contortions it forces local officials to go through to build the infrastructure to do what they want to do. And a lot of that bad legislation, I think AI will be dramatically better at creating language that is clear, that is legally defensible, that really helps states and municipalities deliver the intended outcomes for the investments that we make at a federal level. And that should be exciting for everybody.
Senator Hickenlooper, thank you very much. And now I'm going to...
Thanks, Jake.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
Thanks.
Now I'm going to welcome Glenn Fogel, the president and CEO of Booking.com, to the stage for a fireside chat. So This is marrying my two favorite things, which is AI and travel. So this is like, maybe we go for like an hour or two, but I don't think we have time for that.
No, we don't.
As Senator Hickenlooper said, I mean, travel is going to be incredibly enhanced by AI. It's already been enhanced. Booking.com has already been enhanced. So many things have been enhanced by AI. Tell me one thing Booking.com is doing that you think is the most impactful when it comes to AI.
So the most impactful thing is something that the consumer or our partners, the suppliers, hotels, airlines, really aren't seeing. It's actually making things more efficient for us. That's where AI right now is making the biggest difference. When you have software developers, we are essentially a tech company, software developers who are able to do their job so much faster than they could do in the past, that is creating an efficiency. Consumer doesn't see that, but that is it. But also things that people are beginning to see in the customer side is if you have our Booking.com app and you go right to it for an idea of, well, where do I want to go? We have an AI system called the AI Trip Planner. And you just, like any of the chat bot AI systems, type in something like, I want to go on a trip that's warm. And it will be interactive, like that travel agent that the senator was talking about, only it's being done by AI. And it really is like you are talking to a human being. Now, right now, we have not gone for the next advancement yet, which would be actually talking back. We'll be there very shortly. You've seen some of the demos, I'm sure. The voices, maybe it sounds like Scarlett Johansson.
Too soon.
We won't go that way. But that's how it's going to be. So we have the system, and it actually works right now. Or you can go to our Priceline brand, where they also have, they call it Penny, similar type thing. If you are having an issue with a reservation at a restaurant, you want to change it. Well, formerly you would call the restaurant and you'd have to talk to somebody to make it. Well, our Open Table company, they are doing now using AI and connecting it all through the reservation system with the restaurant. You can do that all automatically in the restaurateur. It doesn't need to have the host. Our host is actually having to deal with it. There's so many areas. This is advancing so rapidly. As the senator said, it is moving so fast. It's really quite remarkable where we'll be not 5 years from now, we'll be 2 years from now.
Well, that was my next question. Very good lead-in. I think about this a lot, and I ask people in various fields, where will you give me the 3, 5, 10-year projection of what, and maybe you don't know specifically because none of us know specifically, but what will travel look like in 3, 5, 10 years with AI? What do you expect, or even what do you dream that like you will be able to do within that period of time?
Okay, so let's take it from the short term, some of the biggest things. And it was remarked a little bit in the conversation you just had about frustrations people have traveling, perhaps not getting where they want to be, when they want to be, and it's very frustrating.
And you can't control that.
We can't control the weather, which I tell many customers who send me emails complaining that it rained on their holiday. I'm not kidding you. This is serious. I get lots of complaints, and they want a refund because it rained. I can't control the weather.
So you're not God. You'll confirm that.
I am. I'm not even an angel. But here's the issue. So when you call in those situations, when you're out at DIA and you're flying, and you want to talk to somebody, and you're on hold has anybody ever waited on hold to get help on travel more than an hour? 2 hours? Anybody 3 hours? I've been on 3 hours. Okay, so we are now using our customer service stuff with AI, so it will completely be able to use the system instead of a human. Because we, as a company, can never staff up, so you'll have instant pickup and talk right away. You can't do a business like that. But AI can do that. And you can, instead of whether you have 100 calls or 1,000 calls or 1,000,000 calls, and we can do it so much better. Because how many times when you finally get that customer service agent and they say, could you hold one moment? And then I have to look something up, and then 10, 15 minutes, they come back to you. They're not sure what the rule is. Can you get a refund? Can you not get a refund? AI will know all this all immediately, what the rule is, what you get, how to do it, and it will solve the problem for you so much faster. It is such a better way, but here's the flip side that's really, really interesting. How many people, by the way, I have no idea if this is true or not. I asked my head customer service person, how many people in the world work as customer service people? That's their job. And he looked around and came back with a number. I have no idea if he's right or not. But do you think he said it was more than 1 million? Yeah. More than 2 million? Yeah. More than 5 million? Yeah. He said 10 million. 10 million people around the world are customer service agents. That's their job. in many countries, Philippines, other parts, these are very important jobs for the community, for them, et cetera, okay? Very rapidly, a lot of those jobs are extremely at risk. So what's going to happen to those people? And those jobs are the jobs that enable people to come up from a rural area and actually enter a job and enter into the economic ladder and move up. Those things are going away, like real soon. And what's going to happen to them? And then flip it, we don't have a lot of customer service agents in the U.S. When I say we, I'm not talking just our company. I'm saying no company has a lot of customer service in the U.S. But there are a lot of other jobs that are going to be replaced. So we talk about transportation, travel, all that. Well, let's go with, I spoke with someone yesterday who works for, it's not a competitor of yours, but it's a reporter for a media thing.
They're all competitors.
Yeah, well, okay. Don't worry about them.
That's what I'd like to hear.
She just was in San Francisco and took a taxi ride for the first time without any driver. No driver, exactly. No driver, totally things, right? So what we were talking about, though, very easy to automate, eventually, not that long, trucks. Why? Now, being a truck driver, long-haul truck driver, that's a good job. You get paid really well.
Yep.
It's not an easy job, right, if you're doing it, but with AI, and that's going away. How many people are truck drivers? I don't know, 3 million Teamsters? I don't know. It's a big number, okay? Now imagine that in a few years, you say, thank you very much for your service, you're no longer needed, get retrained. What? I'm 50 years old, I don't have much of an education, what am I going to do? Those are issues that we have to deal with AI.
Is that your biggest concern, is those kinds of issues?
There's so many. My biggest issue is as the CEO of Booking Holdings, which is the largest travel company in the world by far, my issues I have to deal with in perspective of this discussion of the regulatory framework is coming down the pike and it's very fragmented right now. So one thing the Senator talked about how it's very important that we get ahead and we don't end up with 50 states having their own regulations. I cannot build 50 different ways to do things. And by the way, because we are so global, Europe just passed their AI Act. They don't have all the details yet. We're working with the appropriate people there to try and help come out with the details. But if we end up with the different rules there and different rules here, it's hard. Right now with GDPR in Europe, and we got California with theirs, and as the Senator just said, we don't have a federal one, it's extremely difficult to operate well. That hurts competitiveness, that hurts efficiency, that hurts our economy, and that means fewer jobs.
Now, let me ask you undoubtedly, you and your company, which, as you said, the largest travel company around, is how do you talk to lawmakers? How do you educate lawmakers on this? Because as I talked about with the Senator, lawmakers have so much on their plate. They're so all over the place, as you undoubtedly know, dealing with so many issues. But I mean, I agree with his assessment that I've been doing this a while, but Congress is really getting smart on this quick in a way that I hadn't seen any other issue. Like when you go in to talk to a member of Congress, how do you educate them on what you think should be done?
So what I'm not trying to do is teach them to be a computer science engineer. That's not the purpose. Purpose is so they understand the issues that we're dealing with so they can see it. So example, this issue about the world. Different regulatory frameworks are going to be hard. So harmonization, working together internationally is really important to create efficient. Can you imagine if the global air system did not have standardization? Every single person in a commercial cockpit, they all speak English.
Yep.
It's really important when you're flying around the world that everybody, the air traffic controllers and the pilots, everybody speaks the same language. Same thing, the runways. The numbers on the runway, you've probably seen them, right?
Yep.
That's standard. Every single airport, every pilot knows what that means and where the runway is. So you need to have one set of rules. That's the first thing. The second thing is trying to make sure they understand that you have to treat different ways people are using AI or creating AI at different levels with different types of levels of scrutiny. So the Senator mentioned about audits and things like that. Well, here's the thing. So if you're one of the very large leaders in the world of AI and creating the large language models that can be used for good or evil,
yep.
That's kind of good. But someone like us, we're a travel company, we use AI, we're doing something, but please do not put onto us the same amount of baggage that will slow us down. And by the way, it's not just because it's less efficient, we can't hire as many people, but here's the real thing, it'll make non-US companies will be that much more competitive. If a company in China doesn't have the same regulatory framework and they can advance faster, it's global. People do not care where the company is located, who the people are. They just want the best system, the best service. And because of the way our digital world works, it's one world. I don't know how many people, have you ever used a company called Trip.com? Anybody ever used a thing called Skyscanner? Mm-hmm. How many of you know that's owned by a Chinese company? Okay? So again, people don't know and they don't care. They just want the best. So that's what I tell. That's what I would tell. I tell all the people I meet with. That's how important it is. And of course, we're always willing to be an advocate for how can we do it so it's good for us.
It's really interesting you mentioned that there are so many different levels. There's the asking AI to solve a problem for you. There's just enhanced search. I mean, you make a really good point on that. So we are quickly running out of time here, and we could again spend a long time on this. I wonder if you could. I'm going to ask you a two-pronged question to finish this too. How could the government best support what you're trying to do with AI? Because we're in like the so in so many ways the early, really nascent days of this, and it's just already so powerful. That's number one. And number two, there's a lot of people here who'll be watching this who are policymakers, people who are involved in AI, people who are crafting these laws or helping understand these laws for members of Congress. What do you hope they take away other than Congress needs to do this? And needs to do this soon. Yeah.
So it is incredibly complex. And we really are at a point in history of our, not just our society, our whole being, where things could go right or wrong.
Right.
And it's going to be very path dependent. Our future in this area is very path dependent. The choices we make today are going to set things up for a very long time. It's very hard to go back up the funnel and change things. Once these regulations are set, the concrete's going to set very fast, and we'll go back to
and people will make decisions based on them.
Totally, people will, and then it will stay because we made the decision based on that. So I'd say the administration and the legislature have to spend enough time, energy, and speak to enough people and really get a sense of what is the right way forward. So do not rush it. On the flip side is though. But everything's moving fast. Everything moves so fast.
Don't rush it, but let's go.
Right. Hurry up and wait. No, right. But and this is one. I'll tell you, I'm fortunate in the one sense that I'm old enough that I'm probably not going to have to deal with a lot of the ramifications. But the bad thing is, I have kids. My kids are older than the senators, which is interesting because he's a lot older than me, but just not how this all worked out. But my kids are a lot older. They're going to have to deal with it, as are his kids, and your kids are going to have to deal with some very serious issues in a not so distant time.
I tell my son that all the time. He's not going to be driving cars. He's not going to be living the life.
He won't have to worry about those fractions, by the way. Yeah. Just letting you know, because that's all going to be done.
I agree. I agree with you.
It's interesting. Senator had some interesting thoughts about some things that are coming down the way, but these things are here already. It's going to be even so much more advanced. The idea that go for the idea he's talking about, the stoplight and stuff. Well, again, the optimization of going ground transportation is so much more than that. It is coming so fast. And we will benefit, and then we will wonder, we'll say, how could anybody ever live with this before? I think that was his point. We are going to be shocked by what you have. I'm telling you the stuff I see that's in beta. You are going to be amazed over the next few years of what is going to be here. And then you're going to wonder, well, why isn't it better?
Right, but I mean, and we're quickly running out of time. But I want to mention one more thing. I mean, you talked about restaurants, and one of your portfolio companies, obviously very big in part of your company, the restaurant space. But you think about delays at restaurants, or slow service, or just seating and things.
Just gone. It can be so easy to. So it really is. So look, you got to worry about safety, right? Make sure that this stuff is you're playing with. This is real ammunition. This is dangerous stuff, and the future could be great, but it could also go very, very wrong. That's one. Make sure that there's this harmonization thing, and the last thing is think about the issues in terms of a competitive world. We are one company competing for your business throughout the world, not just the U.S. I urge every single person in Washington, you've got to look beyond the border in terms, that's what the world of business is nowadays.
Yep. Glenn, thank you so much for your time. We really appreciate it. A big thank you to Senator Hickenlooper and Booking Holdings for making this such a great event and their partnership. We have more events coming up. Go to our event summit to check it out. Thank you, sir. It was really fun.
Thank you.